Hey Jodie, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. So, Jodie, I feel like you have two businesses, right? You have Fort and
Mhm.
Fort to Go,
Yes,
right?
sir.
And they're kind of two different. One is a play space, correct? And then the
Correct.
other one to go is it is a retail store, but there's also it's experience too, because you're building these boxes, right? That we could talk about.
That's correct. Yes.
So I love everything. First, everything is so beautifully designed, which is why I
Yes.
feel like I love your aesthetic. So I definitely am a big fan of yours. But talk about how you got to the idea of was it the boxes that were first, or was it the play space?
Okay, so it was a little bit of everything. So just a quick background, I'm an occupational therapist by trade. So I worked in pediatric OT, just really used play as a modality for therapy. So I just have a strong kind of belief that play is fundamental to childhood and it's their work essentially. So
Did,
having said that, and trying to abbreviate it all, after I got my youngest close to first grade, I decided, hey, I think our community could really use a beautiful play space here in Fredericksburg, which we didn't really have at the time. So that's Fort. That's Fort Pure Play, and that is in its fourth year, although closed at the moment, just because of COVID issues and kids playing together and that sort of thing. So that went on for a couple of years, and we used the type of play that are. Can you hear me? Okay, with the
yep, yep.
the type of play that we did there was like heavily sensory based, and a lot of the boxes that are here at the store were inspired by playscapes and offerings that we would give to the children that came to play there. So then when we went open to the retail store, we thought this is a way for us to take the Fort concept to go, right? So we can now give it to them in like boxes that they can take home, switch out, kind of get into that small world sensory play, and then their own space. So as part of our retail shop, although we sell a lot of brands and products that we don't make, that we source from all over the world, the boxes are ours. So we kind of curate the pieces and make sure they're all to scale and make sure they make sense within the themes. And then children can come here to the store and make them and build them in our box build maker space here.
Yeah, they're kind of like small little worlds that
Yeah,
they
I
create.
like to think of them as like inside a snow globe.
Yeah, and it's like themed, like, you could have a water, ocean, animal theme, and I love that. And it could be very
That's
seasonal.
Yeah, so we have, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have about 10 core right now that we, always have stock for, and people can come in and build it at any time. And then we're launching one more this winter, and then another one coming in the spring. So we're still growing our themes, but a lot of work goes into just trying to get the one box. So, just finding like all the materials to go in it. We did last year, we did a Halloween box and a Christmas box. And this year we decided to, instead of having themed boxes, instead have events in their place. Like we just did the terrarium event, and we're going to do a
Nice.
snow globe one for holiday. So just because, again, all the work that goes into trying to get all the parts for these boxes, and then you have to like sustainably source them.
Right.
It's just hard to do for just 4 weeks or so. Yeah.
Um, Talk about the fort's play space. How did you find it? How did you know, like, okay, this is what it's going to be, and what was the vision for it?
Okay, so the vision was just almost like a boutique play experience. I really wanted a space where children could come and find open ended, beautiful, loose play parts and kind of get into their jam of play. I didn't want anything that had closed ended, play, or we were instructing their play. I just wanted our community to have a really beautiful place where children could go get into that zone.
Right.
So I started sort of looking for properties. I wasn't sure I wanted to go 2 feet in, so I was looking at things that perhaps could be like we could rent out, someone could live in it and I could have half of it. And then by the time we were ready to go, it was very clear that we needed the whole space. So my husband and I bought the building over on Herndon Street, and we just turned it into what it is now, which is I just pretty meticulously designed play space, kind of a boutique experience play space. Much like your spa, Brian, but for kids.
I know. Well, first of all, I think for a kid, it looks like a regular house, right? So when you walk
Yes.
up, it looks like a regular house. Then when you open up, it's kind of magical because you did have like a little shop there, but
Yes.
everything is for kids.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know, and so like if you were a kid, you're like, oh, this whole place is
Is
for
mine.
me,
Yes.
which I
And it
think
was
is
nice
really
to
cool.
take, thank you. Thank you for that. It was nice to take that retail out of there for that very reason, because it was like hands off to them. We had that a little bit of retail in the kind of foyer or reception area. And I hated that there was this little, like, we can't touch it because everything
Right,
else we can touch. So
right.
when we opened the store, it was nice that now, like you said, is really all for them.
And open-ended, I like that because it's different. You're not taking your kid there and then they go through like a lesson or series.
No.
Really, it's all free. Like they could touch whatever, they could build
Yeah.
whatever creative things in their mind they could do.
Yeah.
And I
Exactly.
also love there's an outdoor space too for
Yeah.
them, right?
Yes,
Can
there's
you talk?
we call it Fort Out Back, and it's basically just an outdoor room. So it's an extension of our play space. It can be used during rain or snow, or we don't have any restrictions on that either, as long as the parent that's with the child or the supervising adult is comfortable with them getting wet or muddy, or, well, now we have turf, so you don't even get muddy, but back in the day, yeah, we used to get muddy. Yeah, so that's really just acts as another room for us where kids can go outside and utilize that space.
So they play, and it's kind of like by an hour, or how long is a session?
Yeah, so our play sessions were an hour and 15 minutes, and they book them. We used to use MindBody, so we would book the same way you would book a spa service. You'd come with a parent, or like I said, an adult, and you'd experience the play for an hour and 15 minutes, and then you'd go home. The little bit of difference in our space is that we never asked any children to clean up, because we really felt like that too is just requiring something of them. And I'm the mom of 3 kids, so believe me, I like requiring things of children. But I think they have so many requirements on them all the time, with like, get your backpack, get to school, that when they come to Fort, I wanted them to just like almost have no responsibility. I know that seems silly, but like you said, walk in the door, experience the wonder, the magic, do their thing, and then we are saying, now you go and we'll take care of this for you. And here's your like warm lavender towel and your little cup of water and your sticker. And so just kind of really thinking through that experience and how we wanted them to feel, which is that point you made when they walk in and feel that way. So
Right, and it was like totally like something magical, because it's always fun. It's like they get to enjoy, and then they don't have the burdens of the cleaning up and things like that. And I love, but you also give the parents some tea and the hot towel too. So
yeah, I mean, as we're speaking, I'm really realizing how much it's like your business is. I mean, really, when you walk into your space, it feels the same way. I mean, you're taken care of from the moment you walk in the door, and offered a beverage, and it's cozy and it smells good, and the music's not invasive if there is any. And
that's why we're birds of a feather, I think,
I know, it's like the same thing. And that's how I feel when I go into your space. And I don't think that we should kind of dumb down, so to speak, a child's sensory experience. I mean, they respond in the same way we do to that kind of calming environment, So yeah, that's
and I love too that it kind of comes together. It's not that you can have different people, and it's just a little meeting space too for parents, guardians, or whoever's supervising them. It allows them some community and social time too, as the kids are kind of doing
exactly. And that was something I didn't intend necessarily. That was not on my mind when we were, but it definitely became a huge part of it. And I think offering that coffee or the tea or the water, and then having grandparents, parents, nannies who's babysit children whose parents go to work, and then all those ages mingling, like the grandmother with the nanny from Ireland with the new mom with breastfeeding her baby, just all of it was a really nice thing for me to experience,
to create the space for it.
Exactly. That wasn't really intended at the beginning.
This episode was brought to you by Skin+Touch Therapy Spa. We're a boutique spa located in downtown Fredericksburg and Culpeper, Virginia. We offer massage, skincare, and natural nail services. Schedule online or purchase a gift certificate for someone to enjoy. Spa Local. How, like, the space is so well designed. How long did it take you to find these elements? Like, was it like a long process, or did you have a really like vision, or you kind of just knew like this is exactly how I love it to look?
I would say I had like my own aesthetic, my own like tastes, I definitely had a Pinterest board. Like I would just collecting images a lot beforehand. That just kind of went along with the way I wanted it to feel. You have an overall image that's inside of your head, and then to try and convey that out into a space is hard, as you're doing right now. So I think things like having that Pinterest board and like friends who kind of knew my ways would send me things. Stacy Lampman was a huge help to me with spaces. She's just knows a lot. Yeah. And we really leaned on them, not necessarily in the design plan, but just as my friend, just always bouncing stuff off of her.
Just a sounding board, but you had like, you have a really strong aesthetic, and so and having it brought through is really so nice and beautiful.
And then leaning on friends like that know something in terms of like Stacy knew a lot about, I wanted it open, and she's like, well, we need to draw plans so that you can have an open space. You need an engineer. I was just going to put electrical outlets anywhere. She's like, let's stop and think about this. Let's just, so leaning on professions along the way that knew a lot more than I did about how to get that vision actually like happening in that space. So.
Cool. And so that's on Herndon, right? The Fort Place space.
By the Silk Mill, yes, in the Canal Quarter.
When do you think you'll reopen it again? Are you waiting?
Yeah, I'm just kind of waiting because the kids, it's just really hard to keep young kids in masks, and they're sharing these play experiences, which is the whole point, right? You want to see them using their imagination, collaborative play, and to try and change that and alter it in a way that seems unnatural for its existence, basically.
Yeah.
So I think had we not opened the store a year ago, we would just kind of be in a hold pattern. But because the store is active, I feel like our community is active, our Fort community. And that portion of it is on hold at the moment. We have a speech therapist working out of there right now, which led our Babylese class. So she's already part of our Fort family. And she's doing her therapy out of there now. And then we have a one pod play that happens with our founding family. So just like 3 families that helped us get started, they are there once a week. So, and we're very open. We've been talking about this a lot. We're very open to pod play. So if there were a group of people that trusted each other and felt comfortable, and the kids are playing anyway, they would basically like rent Fort out. We're still there to like open it and get it all ready and clean it up. But it would be like a private pod play.
Sure. That's awesome. And because, like COVID may not lift, in the immediate future, like, it might be a while, but I think people are starting to realize like you have to be social. It's good to get a change of environments. Kids need different things. And so if you have smaller groups, that just might have to be for that for some time.
Exactly. So that's something I feel like that, let's get through the holidays, see where everything goes, right now. But then come January, we're going to start looking at that more seriously. Like, Fort might just serve as a venue for the short-term future for private play pods instead of drop in, show up together and play with random people you don't know.
Right, right.
Far-fetched at the moment.
Right? Yes, I know, right?
It's the norm, 6 months ago, but now it seems a little dangerous. I don't know.
Incredible to think that way, right?
I know.
So let's talk about your retail, because then that from Fort, then you did Fort to Go, right? So, and that's where you're currently at right now.
Yeah, I'm in the shop right now. Yes. So Fort, I spent years collecting the pieces that we play with at Fort Pure Play. And in doing that, I was purchasing them, right? Like as a customer, I got a really good idea of what worked for kids, in addition to just, again, the OT piece and being a mom myself. So just these things that I loved for my kids and I loved having in our play space. So knowing that, we had about 5 or 6 brands that we really believed in and we used at Fort Pure Play, and we sold there in the foyer area, when you first walk in the play space. So, and we saw that they were pretty popular and people really liked them. So then I started thinking, well, we probably should open a retail space so that we can sell these pieces to other people who are always asking, where do you get them? How do you get, and then also to be able to, and more importantly for me, because my kind of baby is the boxes, I wanted a place where we could make these boxes and people could buy them and come in and make them. So all that was kind of swimming after year 1, I started thinking. So in year 2, started thinking this is where we wanted to go. And then we opened last year 3. So here we are, 900 Caroline Street, and we sell, I call play parts for the work of childhood. So we don't sell like puzzles or games or books, just because of our philosophy on how we approach play parts, but also because we have an awesome place in town, Jabberwocky, who knows books and puzzles, right? And games. So to complement our small town too, I mean, that's not our niche, but our niche is open-ended, loose play parts that are, made of beautiful materials that are sensory rich. And here we are. We got a shop full of them right now. So.
Were you looking for a location for a while, or did one pop up and you're like, now I want to do it? How did that get?
I did not want it to go this fast. I did not want to start last summer, but this space did pop up, and my friend Susan Moss had it before as a dress shop. And when it did, I just thought, if we're going to make a go of it, it kind of has to be here, because we're a little bit unique and hard to wrap your brain around unless this is the way you're used to seeing kids play, I think. And I felt like we had to kind of be upfront and center to get a momentum of an understanding, if that makes sense.
I think it is. I think for people that don't know out there, Fort and how your approach is, it's really kind of you're just giving them all the elements for them to be creative and to create themselves. Exactly. It's not like, here's a kit where this is what you build and this is what the end product should look like, right? Yeah, exactly. You're just kind of like, here are these things and you could play with them however you want, and they're just parts to go along to something of how you play too. And it is really kind of unique. I think you have several unique concepts with them. And let's talk about the boxes more, because I think I read an article a little bit that you actually created the boxes. I think it's a unique product, right? But you used to do them at home, right? You used to make these. Oh
yeah, so way back. Yeah, so that's why it's hard to untwine, because it's all intertwined. So yes, before I even opened Fort Pure Play, I used to make these like trays for my kids on our dining room table, and they would be like a pretty playscape. So we might do like bears in a snowy forest in a cave, and then I'd switch it out seasonally, and just kind of offerings for them to play with. This happened with my second child, not my first. And so when we opened Fort Pure Play, that is the kind of sensory play I wanted to offer to my kids. So not my kids, the kids that came to play at Fort.
Right.
So it went from like home play to like Fort Pure Play, and then taking those things and turning it into a product at Fort to Go. So that was the evolution.
And I mean, I don't think there's things like that on the market, right? Correct? I think you're
actually, like one of my mentors is a woman in Charlottesville that had Explorations Play Studio, and used to go to her play studio, and she definitely she was I'd say retired, but she was in her 30s, elementary ed teacher. So she kind of introduced me to the concept of like using elements in the play that are maybe like water and ice, I mean, I did it with my kids already, but this was like at a place.
Right.
So she, when I was setting up Fort Pure Play, she acted as a mentor for me. Like, let's think through this. She had since closed her studio, but let's think through this. They're going to come in, they're going to want to use the sink to play. So taking it and putting it into like a business format, I didn't know quite how to do that. And she really helped me with that. And she's a huge part of my inspiration. She no longer has her play studio, but she uses this kind of play. Her company is called Tray Play, and she uses it with Alzheimer patients, so the young and the old. And she does like monthly subscription. I mean, different, but there's stuff out there. That's what I'm saying, but nothing like in the same way that I'm doing it, I guess is
right. Oh, okay. Yeah. But I think it's interesting because of your professional background. These were kind of like tools that you
Yeah.
did, it
I
sounds like.
carried it around in my duffel bag as a therapist before I had kids. So I
Right.
used stuff, yes. And then
But
it was,
now it's for
yeah,
like it's for real consumers, I guess,
yeah.
not for people going for these type of therapy sessions, I guess. It takes it from professional to consumer, I think.
Yes, exactly. And like how that all happened is it's just kind of like anything in your life, probably you with your beautiful spas. Like it's it's like it just all kind of gels. Like the mom part of me, the aesthetically like strong-minded part of me, the OT part of me, right? The
Yeah.
ready to launch into the community now that my kids are going to school part, and it all just kind of came together in a gradual, organic way. And
Yeah, but definitely has come together where it's such a, I feel it's unique, but it has gelled and it makes sense.
I
Yeah,
finally feel like it's gelled. I finally feel like when I try to explain, like Fort Pure Play was hard to explain to people. But then when they started coming in and experiencing it, it made the store more relevant, the shop for it to go. Suddenly they're like, oh, I get it. This is why I would buy this.
right.
No,
It-
this is why I could layer these pieces and have them in baskets as invitations and for children to play with. So yeah, they went hand in hand. They really helped each other.
yes, and it told the complete picture and a complete
Yeah,
story.
exactly, Brian. Thank you for seeing that. Yeah.
No, well, this is why I love this.
I get to that place for a while, and it hasn't been linear, but it's definitely like I think when in you yourself, you know, you have this strong sense of what you do and how you want what you do to be seen, and if you just keep like on that and you keep strict on those concepts, that's the
Right.
other thing, right? Like people say all the time, we should have clothes in here or puzzle or, and I always say, like to Hope, my manager, and Griffin, our assistant manager, is it a play part for the work of childhood? Nope, then we can't have it.
Right.
If you opened that can of worms, so to speak, you would lose your identity. So
And lose the mission kind of what you.
yeah, so we're the three of us, like our team is very strict on how we bring things into the store, how we what's the word, merchandise them, how we're always thinking about that core concept of open-ended, free, joyful, imaginative play.
I love it. And then it's true because but it's also, this is one thing of shopping and all of brick and mortar. You have to give this experience. It has to give this visual, and they have to step into another world. And I think that's what consumers like, when they walk into something, you take them away and you take them on this journey. And that's when they are so excited. They want to support, they want to buy. I think they get that when they step into Fort to Go.
So bingo, right there. Everything you just said is again how we're similar. You know that you, like you just said, you walk into this experience. You know, during COVID, we had the opportunity, obviously, to go online with a lot of stuff. And we did put our boxes online, which I think already were before COVID. And we tried to bundle some things and tried to survive in that way. But again, like the reason why we're here, like you said, is an experience. Like I want a brick and mortar in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I don't want to go online and package
Right.
things and shit, right? I mean, if you have to, you have to, but it's such a strong feeling to walk in a space and feel like you're understood, taken care of, enjoying yourself with other people, grandchild, good friend coming, getting a pedicure, right? I mean,
Right.
it's part of it. Yeah. So you put it a lot better than I did, but absolutely it is a very important thing to be a brick and mortar.
So what's coming up for holiday? I mean, there's probably, are you looking forward to it? Do you feel like people are going to come out and, purchase for holiday? What's your thoughts in the next coming, weeks to come?
Your thoughts, right? Just kidding. My thoughts are all over the place on this. I'm sure yours are too. We were just talking about this morning, Hope and I. So we think people will come out. We think they'll come out more strategically and perhaps earlier. Maybe they'll lean a little heavily on online buying. I hope not. We don't really know what to expect, honestly. I think we're preparing for it in the same way we prepared last year. But keep in mind, and we were also just saying this morning, last year was a first rodeo. Like we came open September 20th, and then, fourth quarter and holiday were right there. So we were just like in the fire, figuring it out, who we were, how we're meeting, our customers' needs over the holidays. This year we feel a lot more steady on our feet. But I don't know what to expect from the world, if that
because of
makes sense.
COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
I actually think, and this is my prediction, that people are going to have a little smaller Thanksgiving, right? Because I don't think a lot of people are going to travel or, have extended family. And I actually think that for Christmas, because it was such a tough year, I think people are going to go all out, or at least I hope they go all out.
I'm feeling that way personally. Like I'm going all out, like decorating the house more, like shopping with my big coat on downtown more, the things that you kind of lost a little bit.
And I think because you can always give a gift and give something, and I think it's been such a tough year for everyone that just a little bit of joy, I think people want to spread that around. And and part of doing these conversations is so people can get inspired and to support local, that I hope most people do. Are you finding that you're having trouble sourcing or getting your items for the shop? Like I talked to a bunch of people and supply chains have been disrupted. Are you finding that as well?
Very much so. So the products that are made in America aren't a big, we're having a little bit of a supply chain issue with those, but most of our things come from Europe. And those are just so difficult to get. So we have a couple, Ostheimer, which makes German wooden toys and figurines, very hard. Grappa is out of Spain, very hard. And then once they get to the US distributor, it's pretty much rationed among their stock lists. So you're not just getting everything you want like you were before. I mean, you have to kind of wait. And, our customers who love that, we have customers who specifically love those brands and shop pretty much exclusively for them. I mean, it's an ongoing relationship, emails, phone calls, checking in, do you have it? And Hope is amazing at that. I mean, she's the person that makes that happen. But that relationship kind of maintaining and building and the trust, and that's been something I think that has been more, I guess, important this year because of all the supply chain issues. You can't just instantly go get what you want. There isn't that instant gratification. You might have to wait a little bit. And then our customer, being loyal enough to us to wait, instead of just going and grabbing it anywhere they can.
I think the message I've heard from a few people is if they wanted to shop for it or just to have that patience because of what's really happening around the world.
Yes. It's been an exercise in patience all around, as a store owner, as a consumer, parent, friend, citizen. So I think we're getting a little better at it than perhaps we were before all this. And that's kind of a beautiful thing in itself. So, yeah.
One thing I talked about with other business owners, like before COVID, did you just feel like business was going so rapid and going so fast, right? And then when COVID happened, it kind of allowed us to kind of settle down and then kind of reflect back into the core. Did that happen with you? Did you rethink things? Did it help a little bit to kind of give you a little break to kind of settle back in and really say, oh, actually, this was the mission. Let's go back to that. Did that happen for you?
Absolutely. And especially for us because we had just started, right? So we went into that fire end of September, and it was almost like I was just automatically on autopilot, like must buy this, must stock this, must do this, And then COVID, it just all came to a halt. I mean, I didn't come in the shop Hope ran the shop really for 2-3 months. I had the kids home. And then we kind of recalibrated as we were back opening. And definitely things became more intentional. And a lot was dropped, things that didn't work for us. And perhaps we were just going through the motions before. So it was a nice, natural opportunity to just kind of recheck everything, reestablish our relationships with people, and make sure that the product that we're giving is true with the product that we intended to give right at the beginning.
So now with the shop, you can go in and shop, right?
Yes,
I'm sure. And did you have workshop box building workshops? Or they do just come in and they build their own box?
They pretty much come in. We encourage appointments just because we like to be ready for you. But we certainly take walk-ins also. So we didn't really have any designated workshops. I mean, really, it's a space you can come into anytime. So that hasn't changed. We just haven't done many group box builds. And if we do, you know, there might be 1 or 2 people versus like 4 or 5 for a birthday party. But I think we'll get back to that. We have a nice, we've kind of distance things a little bit back here, and then people come in with their friends and they have a mask on, and you know how it is at at Skin+Touch. It's, you've got it now. You know how to do it safely now.
In the beginning, it was funny because we did that. We opened back up, but I said, like, we're not going to do couples massages because it just felt like there's too many people in the room. Now that we know a little bit more what we're doing, we're starting to open that back up, because it's like, well, we're coworkers, so we've been together. And if you're a couple, you've been together too. So it's not feeling like 4 people. It's really like 2 people.
Exactly.
And it is thinking like pod-like more. So so we are kind of introducing that.
Not just us. I mean, this took us a while as like humans to get to this place, right? I mean, we know COVID a little better than we did before.
Right.
At least we think we do. And so then we can kind of change our models here at our businesses to emulate that.
So yes, exactly. So what's next for you? I'm really curious if you could give some insight, because I feel like you have a unique experience, great brand, great aesthetics. You have a product. So what do you think, like 2021, are you going to push yourself for more? Are you just going to like take a deep breath and like ride it out a little bit? Do you think?
So my natural tendency would be to push a little bit more, because I have I have an end game for it. Like, I know in my head where I want to get it to. But this year has definitely caused some pause. Pushed me to be a little more conservative and to step back a bit. I really want to grow the box build experience. I think that it's what's very unique to us. I think that it's my kind of like baby, so to speak. So I want to get that really well oiled here. That's my goal for 2021. If COVID hadn't happened, I think we'd be looking to open another space probably in Richmond.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but I think we still may. We don't know. But it's definitely not happening like this, spring, for example.
Right.
Something that I wanted, like you've just taken that leap. And you had what, 5-6 years under your belt, more?
Yeah, it's been around that. Yeah.
So we're just for including Fort Pure Play and now the store, we're 4 years Fort Pure Play, 1 year at the store. I think we need just a little more.
Right.
And then I would love to do that. So,
but your mind is going, maybe second.
Always. I mean, you know how we are. Always going. I mean, I'm always going and looking and thinking. Yeah. So yes, I love what we've built here at Fort, and I want more people to know it.
Yeah, I think it's super exciting, and I'm so excited. Well, I appreciate your time talking to us.
I appreciate your time for doing this. Thank you for doing this for our community. I really appreciate it.
And I would love to see where it goes, and it no rush and no pressure, but yeah, I'm definitely a fan to see which direction or how it can expand, because I think it's such a unique thing that we have in Fredericksburg. I mean, it's like a little gem that people, if they haven't experienced it, they should.
Thank you. I don't remember exactly. So in a perfect world, our demographic would have been more urban, I think, like DC or Richmond. But I live here, and I really wanted Fort Pure Play to be kind of a gift to our community. And I feel that way about this store too. Like, having, my kids grew up here. We live here. We're embedded in this community. I want us to have a Skin+Touch. I want us to have a Willow. I want us to have a Dujardin. Like, so, and that's kind of core. And then after that goal is achieved, we'll see. Once we can get our own neighborhood locked down and fortified, then we'll see where we go. Yeah.
Right. And it's true. But one thing I think too, because I was from, bigger city and things, I feel like Fredericksburg gives such a nice balance. A little bit of, because it's like a tiny city, like someone described it. But it allows you, to have that balance, work-life balance, right? So you could have a family, but then you could test this idea. I think it's really great for entrepreneurs, right?
Mhm.
Because if you, maybe Richmond, you could have done that, but like, you know, you may not have wanted to start in like a DC market, you know?
You're right. It is a great testing ground
Yes.
for, yes, that's a good, nice way to put it.
So
Yeah.
you tested it, you've like gelled everything together, and now I feel like in the years to come, you're
Yeah.
able to replicate that out into the world. But how great is it that you started in Fredericksburg? I mean, same with me too, you know?
Same with you. I mean, it's just like and you know, I think about businesses and like their survivability, so to speak. Like I want, you know, Skin Touch is such a institution here now, and it's been 5 or 6 years. No, it is though. And you want that for our town. Like, oh, you know, that place Skin Touch, you want to be around for your town, your people who come in to shop for Fredericksburg. So, and that in and of itself, just to like get to a place where you are known enough, people are coming to you, they're shopping with you, so you can sustain just what you've built
Right.
is a challenge all of in itself, you know?
Yeah.
So then to like take that next level, as you know, is a little daunting. You have to be like shored up in one place before you can kind of go. But
Right. You have to have your foundation. But one thing
yes,
I think is really great is that Fredericksburg is so supportive. I think even during COVID, or even when you're just new, that people did come and support. So you're able to grow and you're able to see a vision through. Um,
yeah.
and I think that's why we have a lot of great things. It's because there are,
I think you're right. And I don't know if we're unique. All I know is that we're great and awesome down here. You know, everybody knows truly like all the other, you know, business owners are so supportive. And because this is the only time I've ever done it, I don't know if that's typical or atypical, but boy, it sure is special, I think.
yeah, I think we are kind of special and unique because I've definitely been in other towns, but I've also gone to other main streets and talked to other people. And I think the collaborative, I think the support of business owner to business owner is very unique
Yeah.
in
Okay. That's good to hear.
so
Yeah.
so yeah, so and you just
Well,
hit it.
it is so special after all. See, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think we did a great job weathering through the, you know, the initial COVID crisis. I think that just even if I didn't own a business as a community member, someone who lives here downtown, I just feel like we all supported. As a consumer, I feel like I was able to support businesses, and I definitely, as a business owner, felt supported by consumers. So
Yeah, so I definitely think that it's probably just our size, our location, just and our culture that
yeah,
I think has allowed, you know, both of us, our businesses to thrive, and it's why we like the community and give back too.
no, it's good. Thank you so much. You're
I
like at
know.
the forefront of it, friend. Good job.
So awesome. Okay, so tell people how they could experience for in terms of on the internet.
Yeah.
What's your website? And they could shop there as well, and then how they can follow you on social media.
Okay. So right now we have two different websites. That's going to change. We will eventually be one. But right now our play space is fortpureplay.com. And like I said, that space is basically closed, but you can kind of see our format there and how we did operate, and hopefully will again. And then the store is forttogo.com. And you can see, here's one of our little friends now. You can see just some images of our store, the brands we carry. You can see the boxes that we build. You can actually buy them online and have them shipped to you. You can see our hours. So it's a good like informative launching pad, basically. Like I said, eventually those two will come together and tell the whole story of Fort. Our what do you call it? I'm such a 47-year-old, but our Instagram like identity, what do you URL? I have no idea, but it's Fort Pure Play. So if you go to Fort Pure Play on Instagram, you will find us. I believe it's the same on Facebook. That's just one feed that they talk to each other. Wow, I'm really sounding old right now. And what else, Brian? The store is open every day except Monday, so you can come here, 900 Caroline Street. Our hours are online. We just welcome everyone with masks on, please. Box build, you can come and build, walk in and build, but we do recommend that you call ahead of time. We just like to be perfectly ready for you so that your experience is as good as it can be. Um,
Awesome.
anything else?
No, I think that's really good. It's so awesome, and I'm so glad we had the time to chat with each other. And I appreciate it because obviously you're stepping away and chatting with us, but business is still
My
happening.
pleasure. Thank you so much for creating this opportunity for Fort, and then also for doing this for all of our businesses downtown. It's really important. Appreciate it, Brian.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Behind the Register. I'm your host, Brian Lamb, and this episode was produced by Haley Harkins. Special thanks to Fredericksburg, Virginia Main Street for hosting our episodes. If you like what you've heard, support us, share, comment, and like us. We'll catch you next time on Behind the Register.